Fellow citizens and all participants joining us this Sunday, I welcome you all and trust that you've had a good week and also a blessed Sunday. I'm deeply honored to continue this conversation so that you get to know a little bit more about the Amelia for Georgia campaign and how I intend to deliver for Senate District 40. This is the second of a series of Sundays with Amelia as a way of staying connected with Senate District 40. I recognize and value your participation. Allow me to repeat part of what I said last Sunday, and that is my conviction on the purpose and intention of myself as a possible legislator. Last Sunday, I presented the vision I have for Senate District 40. And the vision is for 2025 and 2027. The vision is based on my platform, which looks at the economy, public safety, education, and healthcare. And I am proposing what I refer to as the safe pathways for 2025 to 2027. Safe in terms of S standing for support. I will be supporting innovation, bottom-up economic development, small businesses, small farms. A is for accessible and affordable healthcare. F is about facilitation, facilitating building safer communities, towns, cities, and the state of Georgia. And E stands for elevating people's voices. It will be elevating people's voices to boost children's education and a number of key priorities and issues for the District 40. It is the intention and also my vision to change the trajectory for the American dream. And this is through the safe pathways that I mentioned. And quickly, how? By working together. And this Sunday, I will be focusing on working together for the common good. What is the common good? I may very well say we're working together for the common good, but we need to unpack what we mean generally as the common good. And we do know it could be something like actions that or activities that are shared and beneficial for all or most of the members of a given community, or individuals. Legislatures is one group of individuals acting for the benefits of interests of the larger society rather than one's own selfish interests. So it does give two directions to definitions of the common good. And I just want to repeat that in terms of actions that governments take that are either shared or for the beneficial of the whole community. And at a different level, they could be actions that individuals, and as I mentioned, legislatures take that are for the benefit of the community rather than simply their own interest. The goal of a well-ordered state or government is to help individuals lead a good life. Don't we all want a good life? I think that is a common goal for any family, any immigrant, any American, is to have a good life. The common good then refers to that which is attainable only by the community, yet individually shared by its members. Where do we find reference to the common good in our founding document, the US Constitution? Have you ever thought about that? Where do we find this? The common good is the same as the general welfare, and it is mentioned in the preamble to the US Constitution as one of the goals or purposes for setting up the government of the United States. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. It is also mentioned in Article 1 of the US Constitution, which lays out the powers of the national government to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposed and excises, to pay the debts and provide the common defense and general welfare. The Constitution makes it clear that the purpose of government is to make decisions for the common good, to keep peace, provide economic stability and public safety, while also ensuring fairness and protecting individual rights. I thought it was important that we all appreciate and remind ourselves of what is in our Constitution and what constitutes the common good. We all know that in a representative democracy like the US, we vote. We elect representatives who are supposed to enact and carry out laws that improve society for the benefit of all. And that is my purpose as your legislator in the near future. From the perspective of the individual, the common good asks us to recognize that each individual has a responsibility towards the betterment of the larger society. And here I'm talking specifically about Senate District 40. Senate District 40 comprise of Brookhaven, Chambly, Doraville, Dunwoody, and Peachtree Corners. The common good requires placing the needs of the community above those of the individual. And there is a need there for each citizen to balance his or her other self-interest with the common good. More interestingly, democracy depends on all people, not just elected leaders. It depends on all people. So that means you and I as voters, there is a responsibility in us to recognize, to support the common good. Let's bring this home to Senate District 40. Recently, since April, and also yesterday, I was walking in some of the roads of Doraville and also parts of Embry Hills and Chambly Tucker Road and a few others. And I also intend to do this in Brookhaven and Dunwoody and also, of course, in Peachtree Corners in Gwinnett County. My purpose is to talk to citizens and residents of these areas and of those that own homes in Senate District 40. And my purpose has been to have a conversation, listen to some of the communities in terms of what are the common goods that you and I as citizens want to see your legislator focusing on in 2025. In canvassing, I find that it's a lot of fun. There's also challenges. There are people who are willing to give you 5, 10, 15 minutes and even longer. And there are people who are not so willing to listen or to offer their suggestions and their opinions on the common good. However, as an aspiring legislator, it is my duty to visit and to have meaningful conversations with the Senate District 40. So of interest, I came home last night and I did a long list of what I heard, what were the most single issue in people's minds, issue that is bothering them, things that they are facing in life, everyday life. You go to work, you have to come home and put food on the table, and so forth. So the long list is something like this. Some of the citizens and residents and slash voters gave me tax relief. Some of these people were talking about they've been hardworking people, hardworking families who needs a tax relief and so forth related to tax issues. Other families expressed their interest, also their concern about strengthening hate crimes law. They mentioned the increasing hatred that has been evident in some of the incidents in the communities. And there is growing fear and growing concern that there is, unfortunately, a lot of hate growing in some of these areas. Someone said to me, they want to see tougher penalties for gang crime. They shared some experience of neighborhood families experiencing some criminals doing things that are unexpected and unacceptable in their neighborhood. So they were proposing, what is it? Could we work together on enacting legislations on tougher penalties for gang crime? Healthcare was repeated in many homes that I knocked on. A gentleman who is in his 60s said he's very concerned about his health. Yes, he can try and look after his health, but the health of his wallet, of his bank account, is eating up his savings in having to pay high insurance costs for healthcare. He was not alone in this. There were many other homes that expressed that they have to pay out of their pockets for healthcare for some of the folks living with them who are elderly. And although Medicaid does help, it's not sufficient to see through the costs that are incurred when some of their older people are not well. Inflation, of course, was pretty much a first on the list of many homes. When I asked that question, people were talking about and also giving their experience that $100 today is no longer having the purchasing power of what $100 was 5 years, 10 years ago. So inflation is a high priority for a lot of normal, ordinary American families. Security. You see some of these homes do have put on security measures in their houses, in their homes, because there is a growing concern and growing fear of their security. It's no longer, home is the safest place. Now people have to begin to think about putting measures, having cameras, having other measures to ensure that gives them a safer environment. The housing crisis, because I met people on the road, this was a key concern for these folks. They talked about the housing crisis as young people not being able to afford affordable houses. Some of these folks are moving back to their parents' homes because simply they cannot afford to buy a home or even afford the rent alone. Some of the cases was people have to be working 2-3 jobs to try and pay the rent. Homelessness, of course, is related to the housing crisis. In my district, as I walk on Beaufort Highway, and you see there's a lot of people needing shelter. There's people under the bridge, there's people by the road, and it's not a happy scene to be seeing this issue of homelessness growing. The complex reasons of why people are homelessness is a lot of issues that we have to think about and strategize as a community. Property tax. Property tax was raised by, I think, about 3 persons when I was walking yesterday. They own the homes and they were saying that their taxes are going up or will be going up, and they're very concerned because it means their mortgages will also be going up. That will also affect the home budget and everything else. It impacts everything else. You do need shelter. You need to keep your homes, but you must pay the property tax. So that's pretty much a list of issues, if you want to put it that way, or concerns, or things that people would love to see in some of the communities in Senate District 40, to see soon or sooner. They would really love to see some changes, some positive changes, because it does impact their standard of living, their family lives, their American dream. We have some people in our communities who, as I mentioned, working 2-3 jobs and still struggling to afford the rent, the bare minimum, and at the same time put food on the table. There are laws that currently prohibits the local governments from enacting policies to regulate private landlords' pricing practices. And of course, there are opportunities to look into these, to look into bills into repealing the so-called rent control ban and consistently look into legislations that will help a whole spectrum of people in Senate District 40 with the issue of homelessness, with the issue of affordable houses, and so forth. Tenants do need to have better access to legal services in order to support them in their hard-fought fights for their rights. There's relationships with the municipalities and other authorities that the tenants need some support in terms of legal services. While we're talking about this, I recall in April this year, the DeKalb County Commissioner for District 1 or Precinct 1, Robert Patrick, held a town hall conversation on homelessness. And I think that is a good beginning to foster dialogue amongst community members, amongst experts, advocates, and policymakers to develop collaborative strategies to address homelessness. I, for one, would be looking into the way I work as your legislator to have those kind of conversations on a particular issue, particular concern, bringing communities together, fostering the dialogue, not only the communities, also with the experts, advocates, and the policymakers from the various level of authorities in DeKalb County and also Gwinnett County, and develop some strategies to address some of these issues. Looking at inflation, your legislator cannot develop strategies alone on this. Your legislator will have to seek the collaboration of key people, key leaders in the community, experts, as I mentioned, and I know I'm repeating this, also the counties, to develop those collaborative strategies to address these issues. Safety, public safety, likewise. We will have to work together with our law enforcement agencies, our first responders, frontline responders, and so forth. Accommodating these people in the decision-making for the common good. Accommodating these people, I like repeating this because I think the point comes across better that way, for the common good. Recently, the DeKalb County Authority announced, and I read this in the newspaper, its intention to increase property taxes in 2024 by 11.08% over the rollback mileage rate, with all the cities in DeKalb also announcing changes to their property taxes and mileage rates. You must have got this through the mail. I received mine already. Each year, the Board of Tax Assessors is required to review the assessed value for property tax, purposes of taxable property in the country. When the trend of prices on properties that have recently sold in the county indicate there has been an increase in the fair market value of any specific property, the Board of Tax Assessors is required by law to redetermine the value of such property and adjust the assessment. Yeah, so I think it's good that we have that in the background. Why has my property tax risen? It means because there has been a redetermine of the value of such property and adjust the assessment for the counties. The different governing bodies in DeKalb, use separate tax levies to determine the increases. And we know that DeKalb County has 6 separate tax levies. And 2 of those levies, the general and hospital funds, are used in the required calculation or the rollback rate. And the other tax levies, the police, fire, designated, and the special tax district bond fund, when combined with the general and the hospital levies, produce the same benchmark mileage rate of 20.810 mils from last year. So in some cases, like the city of Dunwoody, local officials instilled a property assessment freeze. Homestead properties that qualify for this freeze would see no increase in their taxes, according to a news release I read. So my message is to homeowners, residents, and citizens and voters of Senate District 40 is to engage, be involved, cooperate, and seek collaborative strategies with the authorities, with the counties, with your legislators in terms of issues like this. Tax. We all want a tax relief, but we must engage. We must get engaged not only during the time of elections, but annually throughout the year, and have your voice and be involved so that you know how change comes around, and also voice your opinions, because that makes changes different, that makes changes just, because your voice has been heard, rather than being alarmed when you get the text message through your mail and through email and or so forth, but be engaged. I just wanted to alert, those of you living in Senate District 40, I have some dates here in terms of looking at the property taxes and the mileage rate. There will be a public hearing, and this is where you take your voice. This is where you take your concerns. Don't wait for a legislation to help you, but be engaged. So let's all get engaged. I say that because I'm also proposing that as your aspiring legislator, I want to be engaged on everything that means to you in terms of the common good and in terms of my role. So for Brookhaven, there will be a public hearing on June 26th. That's this week, June 26th at 10:30 a.m. and also at 6:30 p.m. at Peachtree Road, 4362 Peachtree Road. For Chambly, there will be a public hearing the same date on June 26th at 6 p.m. at 3518 Broad Street. I repeat that for Chambly, June 26th, 3518 Broad Street, 6 p.m. Doraville will have its public hearing, same date, June 26th at 11 a.m., also at 6 p.m. at 3725 Park Avenue. Doraville, 3725 Park Avenue, June 26th, 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Dunwoody's public hearing will be on June 27th. June 27, 8 a.m. and also on July 8th at 6 p.m. at the address of 4800 Ashford Dunwoody Road. Dunwoody, 4800 Ashford Dunwoody Road on June 27, 8 a.m. and on July 8th at 6 p.m. My plea here, please get engaged. Please get engaged. Voice your opinions, because your voice is important to be heard. The solution comes from everyone. It comes through everyone when we cooperate, when we collaborate, because we care. And I think in Senate District 40, I think this is the new ways of working for 2025 in terms of working with your legislator. I'll be looking to engage with you. I'll be looking to listen to you, to hear your voices out, and I'll be looking to work out the solutions with everyone through cooperating, collaborating, and caring for each other. I recall in April when Commissioner Robert Patrick hosted his dialogue, and he said it takes a village. And I cannot agree with him more. As an immigrant coming from the islands where everything was at village level, and we used to say it takes a village for changes to happen. It takes a village to raise a child. No matter where you go, we always take the village with us. And that is part of my platform. It takes a village to bring changes to Senate District 40. Please continue to get engaged. I will be knocking on your doors, and I hope in the next 2 Sundays next month, I will be able to give you a streamlined list of the issues and the concerns that I hear in canvassing and consulting with the voters and also the citizens and residents of Senate District 40. And this time, next month, I will be canvassing in Dunwoody and also in Chambly and Brookhaven. Thank you for listening to me today. That was just a glimpse to give you of what's been happening in the campaign. It's been canvassing and engaging with the communities in terms of the common good, which is my role, if successful, will be working for the common good for Senate District 40. I wish you all a very good new week next week, and we will pass next week, but we will have our first Sundays with Amelia in July. After July 4th, I will be back and looking forward to share with you what I have been hearing and listening to in Senate District 40. God bless you all.